Thanks for inviting me, really appreciate it. I'm not someone who builds roads, I've got nothing to do with road building. I'm from the digital lab team, which is in digital services. I'm lucky enough to manage 4 teams. One is a data science team, one is a geospatial team, one is a digital partnerships team, and we will now have got a new team, which is the development center that National Highways has in Moulton in the Marsh. So today is going to be a quick explanation of a program that's been running for 2 years. You may have heard about this program. I think we've had people come to this event previously just to talk about where the journey is. And today I'm hoping to give you the full story and the conclusion. So for those of you, I think all of you probably know who Highways is, so I'll skip that introduction. In terms of what is our guiding light, we have a strategy up to 2050. It's called Connecting the Country. And every major decision we're making follows within the paradigm of connecting the country. So it's a real key way that we use for prioritization about the investments that we're making. There is a lot of complexity in transport at the moment. There's a lot of consumer demand. There's a lot of innovation. And for us, on the left-hand side, you can see how customer expectation is really a massive driver for what we need to do on the road. So to put it into context, we've been thinking as an organization, we recognize our heritage has been building roads. However, 10, 20 years ago, as soon as we started to put assets and technology assets onto the road, we did become an operator. It wasn't just build the road, let people get on with it. It was very much, you have to operate the road for safety, for traffic flow, for future innovation. We now believe we're in our next phase where we have to be a customer service provider. So we've had an initiative on what role will digital play? What role does technology play? What role does data play in that? And we've ended up with a digital road strategy that was produced in 2025. And the program I'm going to be talking about is the Digital Customer Program, which is going to be a radical change in what Highways does. We are no longer going to be a Soviet Union. We want a big budget in order to control all the outcomes. Digital Customer takes us a step back from the customer in order to give the ingredients to all the other organizations that touch a customer's experience for them to be empowered to deliver a better experience. So what's the offering? We've launched a digital lab. You can see in the mission statement what we're there for. We're trying to be an open platform for innovation. I've been very nicely sat with someone from BSI today, and fundamentally, by being an open platform, we think that's going to be the most successful way for innovation to occur. If we have data standards, if we have an elegant experience for people to collaborate with, we think empowering other people to show their talent is going to be the most successful way for customers to get better experiences. We cannot design every experience in Highways. It's just not possible. Google, TomTom, Bosch, Hair Technologies, yourselves as local councils, the regional authorities are touching the customer as much as we are. And so our opinion is better collaboration, provision of the right ingredients gives everybody the ability to make the customer experience better. We've launched 5 labs. The big one that I'm going to talk about today is the data lab and the insights lab and immersion lab. So in the data lab, today, live, there are now, some speakers said this morning about APIs. If you're not familiar with what APIs are, it literally is just how you can plug a data set to go from one place to another place. So on your phones, you have apps. None of those apps have the data on the phone. They make an API call which brings the data to the phone, and then as soon as you switch away from that screen, it releases the data. So whether that's your YouTube video, whether that's using Google Apps, it doesn't matter. So these 5 data sets are now available in API form, except for digital diversion routes, which is available in a geospatial format on a open data hub. So we think we've now made available the ingredients for everybody now to do innovation successfully. We don't want to get involved in your innovation process. We want to get out of your way. We want to give you the right ingredients of the right standard to deliver the quality that you can trust that will make our customers' journeys safer and more reliable. How are we delivering that? We have a one-stop, single entry into a developer portal where you can, as if you were signing up to Google or YouTube, you sign up once, you register, you subscribe, you can then download any of those data sets to your organization to fit in any digital product. And a digital product could be a website that you have, it could be an app you've designed, it could be a screen at the rocks that you might have, people looking at your customers on their journeys. We've deliberately taken a view that we're not here to please everyone. We're not here to deliver a service that everybody needs their own bespoke version of the data that we're provisioning. We have deliberately chosen Datex 2 because it is very much an industry standard used across Europe. So in our opinion, it will lower the cost of adoption, it will scale the adoption, and you will not have vendor lock-in if you're using this data set, because all your suppliers know what Datex 2 is. None of them need to produce any bespoke work to integrate that data into your organizations. In addition to Datex 2, there is a lot of activity happening in Europe. We've had some recent calls with DFT. We're going to have a few more calls with DFT. It's an elephant in the room. There is Brexit, but you can't ignore NAPCOR, RTTI, SRTI. You cannot ignore these organizations because they are setting standards for travel and mobility across Europe. For a UK citizen, those UK citizens need to have a brilliant experience comparable to everybody in Europe. So there has to be collaboration at the European level to ensure that we are delivering the best experience for our customers. What's our approach? Our approach has been we needed to develop 3 brand new skills in our organization. If we're becoming B2B2C, if we're no longer doing B2C, if we're no longer touching the customer, the first thing we need is a partner experience team. This is the team that is designing experiences to onboard the likes of Google Maps, Apple, TomTom, Hair Technologies, Transport for West Midlands, First Bus, etc., etc., etc. So we have a lot of time invested in designing the experience for the data engineer. So we had the previous speaker spoke so authentically about their role. This is not for senior people. This is the data engineer that needs to pick up this data and go, okay, I can work with that. I know what to do. We've got learnings from, I think it's, I'm going to look at my colleague, Traffic England, is it? Yeah, Traffic England, where we have previously tried to release data. We got feedback, and the feedback was, your babies are ugly. Your data's ugly. We can't use it. We spoke to, I think it was Ocado, and their delivery planning person said, I've tried to use that data. I cry every time I open up the file. And that's, I hear the laugh because there's a lot of data out there that is poorly constructed, poorly delivered, and almost unusable. And yet we pat ourselves on the back to deliver that data. The second capability we produced is a partner management team. If Google, Hair Technologies, and TomTom are trying to take our data into their product, if that data is incorrect, is inconsistent, leads harm to the customer on the journey, we need to be a professional organization to take that feedback and react. It's not about releasing the data and the job's done. It's about having a partner management two-way conversation, two-way process for them to come back to us and explain if there's any challenge with the data that we provided. And the final one is partnership engagement. So days like today, where we're trying to explain what we're doing to get people to understand, if you take the approach we've taken, there could be a lot of cost savings for yourselves if you adopted DataX2. If you're trying to do diversion routes, a number of the partners have already said to me many times, it would be great if all of local council used DataX2, because we'd have one standard, lower the cost for us as a private organisation, or Transport for West Midlands, which is a public body, as we know. It would lower the cost of them adopting. The people who are here who've involved in service design, this is kind of our service design blueprint. We are not trying to help everybody on everything. We have two approaches. We have a self-serve, we have a website and a developer portal which has all the information that you can onboard yourself at your own pace. So it's any pace that you want to go at, that's great. We then have certain segments where we're investing the time to make sure that they fully understand the value of what we're doing. Why am I saying that? Customers have already chosen Google Maps and Apple Maps. Customers don't get a choice. Once they get a car, Ford have chosen, as an example, Ford have chosen Here Technologies to provide the software for their journey. So for us, it's really important we take the 80-20 rule and we spend 80% of the time on where our customers have already chosen or where the OEMs have chosen on the customer's behalf. The 20% is then making sure the rest of the country, not a single company, not a single startup, not a single 16-year-old is left out. If they want to play with the data and create a new app for themselves, for their school, for their college, for their club, great. So no one's left out. So we follow this teach, tailor, take control. Teach is just, this is what we've done. Tailor is specific workshops designed to make sure the organization understands the use case that they should be trialing and testing and piloting before they go live. Take control is where the relationship flips, where we say, we've invested taxpayer money to get the data out to you. You've complained that you don't know where diversion routes are, you don't know where variable message signs are. You now need to show your investment, your commitment to our investment with public money to improve the customer experience. The final thing I want to kind of start ending on is, we've heard a lot through today about data and tech. And I do worry when I go to conferences where everybody says the word AI, where everybody says the word quantum, because we're missing out the single most important thing in a technology program, and that's the human being we're designing it for. And if you look at the origins of computer science, if you look at the origins of technology, it was about being assistive to the person that you're designing an experience for. And there's a lot of places where, in public sector and private sector, we have seen multi-million-pound initiatives deliver nearly zero. Zero take-up, zero registrations, zero usage. So putting the customer at the heart of this has been really important for us. How have we tried to humanize the whole program? We've talked about accessibility and neurodiversity incredibly. Like, we've made it our mission that every partner we speak to understands that we want them not just to take the data, but we want them to take the data and design a new experience for all the people who've been left out of design in the past. So as an example, we took, there's a Roads for All forum that some of you may know about that Highways runs, which is all about bringing disabilities and accessibility and making that at the forefront of people's design thinking. So we worked with them to deliver a report called Navigating Neurodiversity. The QR code's there if you want to take it, but it's all available online. And then we brought 8 organizations to really think through what are the changes we could individually make and make if we partnered up as organizations. And we were incredibly lucky to have Wincanton. Wincanton took a lot of our work and have now instituted a brand new neurodiversity program for their drivers. And that's just to keep you awake, because it is the afternoon. We've then doubled down and we've said, okay, neurodiversity for our customers, yes, let's design new experiences. We know that there are certain groups of neurodiverse people who literally cannot read the road sign because they're colorblind. They are dyslexic. They cannot read the sentence which points towards the city that they're meant to go to. So we need to do a better job of that. We doubled down by saying, actually, what about all of our commercial drivers? All of our bus drivers, all of our coach drivers, all of our taxi drivers, all of our freight drivers. How have we looked after them? And we've worked with some people within highways who are looking at improvements in freight and experience, so Frida Rashti. And it's actually shocking. It's absolutely shocking how we treat our freight drivers. They have an incredibly high set of health problems in terms of back pain, loneliness, suicide, disconnect from their families, divorce, etc., etc. And these are the people who are relying on us to provide the right data and new digital experiences for them to be safer and more in control of their journey. As a joke, I said to some people recently, as a joke, please don't take offense, I'm not surprised why women don't want to be freight drivers. Because if this is what is experienced by the men in freight, higher divorce rate, high health problems, loneliness, incredibly for a cab in a lorry, I think there's about 50 to 100 sensors on the actual freight, like temperature, has someone broken in, etc., etc. There is not a single sensor on the human being driving the cab and their wellness. Not one. So I think we can do better as an industry to look after these incredible people that are serving us day in, day out. So there's just a short video just to wrap up some of that content. Digital Lab is a new ingredient to National Highways, which is trying to make all the things available within highways, whether that's data, insights and innovation, accessible to the market in a more modern way. We reached out to Google as part of our partnership with them. We were really hopeful that we'd be able to use the Accessibility Discovery Centre. It's actually a really intimate space to drive out ideation, to hear opinions, to share views. It's imperative that we strike the right relationships and the right partnerships with the mobility ecosystem. There's a whole team of people that have looked at this issue and said, we need it to mean more.
When I first came to the Google Accessibility Centre today, I think the first word was wow.
I was blown away by this Discovery Centre. It's mind-blowing when I first come into reception this morning. Seeing all the toys and gadgets and everything that's in here was absolutely fantastic.
The stimulus material that was actually presented, it was really, really helpful to, the interactive exhibits, the recorded videos. Sometimes you can read a report and you can think you understand a topic, but that lived experience and hearing from it firsthand, quite powerful and visceral and motivating in a way as well to know that actually working on this can benefit lots of people.
If you get it right for people with disabilities, you get it right for everybody, right through to transport and the roads in which we operate across the UK and Ireland, and it needs to be at the heart of everything.
To see the lived experiences of people and how that actually plays out in the real world is always really helpful to be able to kind of think about a person, to think about an experience that someone's had as we kind of think about designing and addressing those issues as well.
There's stories about people having anxiety, having a routine that they have to go through the same routine. If that routine is disrupted with diversions or with noise, they struggle. They lose confidence in themselves. Keeping those people close to our heart, in our minds, I think is vital.
accessibility can mean that everybody has access to the world, and that we currently live in a world that isn't designed for everybody. The social model says that the world disables people, not the person, and I think accessibility is so incredibly important to mean that everybody has access and equal opportunity.
I've been working in design for disability now for over 10 years, and what that gives me an opportunity is to engage with a range of people with all sorts of different needs, to understand what they want from products and to bring that into a design process to ensure that solutions are inclusive and that everybody can use them in the way they want to use them.
I also particularly enjoyed the session where we started just to kind of sketch out some ideas and things that we could work on together. It was quite free-flowing. It was messy in a good way, because I think that just speaks to the range of possibility, but also the range of complexity.
Toyota Connected deals very much in data. A lot of the data can be used to improve the experience for drivers and for Toyota and Kinto customers.
The insights that we're doing on driver behaviour, lane markings, imaging, CCTV, drone, etc. The data will be available through APIs. So it's a real plug-in to help the market better understand the needs of the digital roads of the future. Whether we make a big change or small change, we don't know what's possible. We'll find out. But was the time well spent? And did we absolutely set high standards for the change that we're trying to achieve? That's a great mission. That's a great purpose. But it needs a great team to pull together to do that. It's not going to be an individual. It's not going to be a single idea. So I think that's the final thing I'd like to take away, which is a big thank you to the team of people and the partners we brought in today to develop this experience and start that momentum. So have we made success since all of the APIs are now available? And again, just to reaffirm, we do realise in highways that a lot of journeys don't start and finish on the highway. They start in a local place, they may use the highway, and they end up in a different local place. So we do think a lot of the APIs will be relevant in terms of road and lane closures, because that will push drivers onto your networks, diversion routes, etc., etc. All of these we think has relevance for you to understand and see that data. Have we had success? So far, it's gone really well. We've engaged with about 500 organizations. We have got 125 organizations exploring the data, and we've got 43 actively calling the APIs and working with the data. Transport for West Midlands is already tested and live in a pilot moment, so it's behind the scenes, and TomTom also have ingested the data. So for us, the question then becomes, this whole thing does, if we continue, becomes complex, because we can manage the SRN, but as I said, the experience needs to be well understood in terms of a local environment. The customer doesn't really only care about the motor journey. They're going to care about all the different types of journeys. I walked this morning, took a train, took a cab, and finally I'm here. So, making sure that there is much better planning for that type of future needs to be thought about. And on the other side, there is a huge amount of work happening in Europe. Connected and open road data is just one example of many examples. eCall we mentioned this morning. All of that type of thought process needs to be put into where we're going to go forward. And the OEMs themselves have their own agenda of what data from the car that they can monetize. So, thank you for your time. Really appreciate the invitation.